Good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastically well. It's Connor here, and we are back with another reaction to Jesse Marsch's press conference. The reason I want to do this is because it's a little bit more concise and a little bit more succinct than Bielsa's press conferences, and I always enjoyed reacting to those anyway. You guys love them. It could be like quite a nice, unique addition to the channel every Thursday, sort of Friday, as well as the preview. So I hope you enjoy. Make sure you're liking on the video. Make sure you're commenting and subscribing. We're going to get into the details of what Marsch was talking about today. There was a lot that he spoke on. Tyler Roberts, Patrick Bamford, of course. Aston Villa, his respect for Steven Gerrard. But I've made a little bit of a compilation of the most important bits, in my opinion. It's about 2 to 3 minutes long, and we're going to get into it now. So the first thing that he addressed was the Tyler Roberts situation. If you guys are not aware of exactly what's gone on with Tyler Roberts, at the weekend when he was playing against Leicester City for Leeds United, he was injured. Now, he came on, was injured on about the 77th minute. Marsch didn't bring him off, which caused a lot of controversy, especially with Marsch's comments last week about the lads being overtrained, overloaded, etc., etc. A few Leeds fans jumped on this, and it seemed to be blown up into something, in my opinion, that it wasn't. So we're going to get into exactly what he said today. And this is very, very interesting.
Yeah, why don't I start today? I just want to, acknowledge the injury with Tyler Roberts. Was a kind of a freak accident on the pitch, and we knew it was going to be a pretty heavy injury right away, but Tyler was adamant about wanting to stay on the pitch.
So straight away there, guys, it's fascinating, isn't it? It's fascinating stuff. He's essentially come out and said that he elected to keep him on the pitch, which I do think throws up a little bit of a debate in itself. I was speaking to a couple of mates, and we were speaking off air about exactly what was going on with that incident when he didn't bring Tyler Roberts off. And one of my good mates did say, wouldn't it be ridiculous now if he went and got a long-term injury? And there you go, literally 4 or 5 days later, that is the case, which is it's damning for Tyler Roberts as well, because his future is very much up in the air now. But there are a lot of questions at Marsch's door. Was he right? Was he wrong? But it's interesting to see that he's come in the room, and we have assessed his body language a little bit last week. And I think it's key to do the same, to provide a little bit of consistency. He's come in, he's very, very relaxed. He's taking control of the room, and he wants to talk about this first. This is the main thing that's on his mind. It's probably not been put to him at all, but it's probably something that bothers him, which follows a very similar blueprint to our predecessor, Marcelo Bielsa. If something was bothering him, he would go and produce a sort of a 7-minute monologue on it. Jesse's a little bit different in terms of how concise he's made this, but he addresses it quite well, in my opinion. Was he right or was he wrong? That is the question, because obviously now Tyler has suffered a lot with it. He's going to be out for the season. I don't personally think he was wrong with it at all. If Tyler is saying to him, I can carry on, then what is Marsch supposed to do? We could obviously see he was struggling a little bit, but if Tyler's not wanting to come off the pitch, it's a bit of a situation in itself there, isn't it? You've got to be very, very careful exactly how you go about this. So Tyler was probably really frustrated, felt that he could do a little bit, even though he was hobbling around. There, the little bits of indiscrepancies, a little bit of inconsistencies there in terms of, Tyler did look like he was in agony, but, you've got to go by the coach's word, in my personal opinion.
The rest of the match, which I appreciated, and it helped us a little bit maybe in set-piece situations and whatnot. But he had a successful surgery.
Positive.
We texted a little bit after the surgery, and he was in positive spirits, and the surgeon feels like it went well. So we're hopeful that he'll have a full recovery, and in 3-4 months' time be strong and ready and back at 100%.
It's good stuff. That's what we all want to hear.
Yeah, they do have to adapt.
Okay, so this is when he was talking about adapting, and I think this is once again key to note as well with regards to Marsch and exactly what he's referring to here. And he was asked about the tactical aspect of Aston Villa, which is obviously going to be very, very complex. They've turned into a little bit of a 4-4-2 diamond with Coutinho spearheading that number 10 role, and they've actually managed to get Ings and Watkins in, and it's been successful, which has been a struggle for Aston Villa all season, and it's going to be a struggle for Leeds United to really nullify those three. For me, the big one obviously is going to be Philippe Coutinho, but the other two do pose a threat. And he's essentially here talking about the adaptation. He's talking about the players as well, learning from him throughout the week. And let's get into exactly what he says.
Talks about that from the beginning. I think it's not just it's not just the tactics and the football style. It's also the type of leader I am. I'm different. I'm more interactive, I think, not just comparing to Marcelo, but to many coaches. So
like that.
But they're getting to know me more. I think they're getting to understand what's important to me and what will be important to us. And their ability to commit to that every day and come with energy every day, it will determine how quick the learning curve is.
Definitely.
Again, after the first game, I think the feedback in terms of the performance is what we wanted. But it's only the first step, and there's a long, long, long way to go yet.
Yeah, so that's the interesting bit. And the reason for me that's interesting is because he's essentially saying, he's addressing the room again and saying, look, I am different. And I do feel this still plays into the huddle chat. There's been so much waffle about this huddle that has annoyed me a little bit, to be quite honest with you, because it's almost that thing that Marcelo got, when he couldn't speak English. Do you remember that? The whole facade that carried on being smacked at Marcelo throughout his entire tenure at Leeds United. And it's that whole different thing, isn't it? If you are an unknown, if you come into England with a different culture, the media will absolutely hammer you. They will absolutely hammer you. The national newspapers are extremely good at it. They've done it even with England superstars who might be a little bit different. They've done it with even just players within this country who have been a little bit different. And they seem to do it with a culture change as well. They don't understand it. They are very, very archaic sometimes in the way the English do it and the British do it. But there are other cultures, and other cultures have absolutely blessed our game. And for certain things to be, done on the pitch, which is a little bit different, which has worked in countries like Holland, which has worked in countries like Belgium, Germany, the States, why not implement that in our country? Are we too arrogant to be able to just let that slide? Does that have to be a thing where we pick up on that and talk about it on all of our radio stations and this, that, and the other? Because in other cultures, Marsch was saying it today, he doesn't understand it, but in other cultures, it's normal. So I think that's really key to note when he's talking about him being different, because I think there was a little bit of a link to the huddle chat as well. But overall, in terms of him being different as well, we could see that last weekend with the arm around the players. There is these managers, who are very sort of tactile with the players. You look at Steven Gerrard, you probably look at Frank Lampard in there as well. Antonio Conte, another one who is very hands-on with his players, but Jesse Marsch seemed extremely hands-on with these players. And I think that's extremely important with these style of players. And I've said this before, because for me, these style of players can be very weak mentality. They can have a very weak mentality, So I think it's absolutely imperative, especially with Jesse Marsch, who has been watching us from afar for a while now. He understands the players. He understands the concentration aspects, the focus aspects of these players as well. So he needs to really get into the minds of these players to produce the best out of these players. So I think that was absolutely key. And the different comment was something that needed really to be addressed, which I didn't think it did.
Well, first, I would say with the fans, like, I've spent some time in and around the city too, having dinner and seeing people, and I think that the fans have come to a really good balance of understanding that they can love Marcelo Bielsa and still support the new coach and the new direction of the team.
Yes.
And I think I'm certainly very comfortable with that as well. And I think in the end, what's the most important is that the team can perform and represent the fans and get the results that we need to keep us in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So
just want to touch on that as well, guys, because that's another thing that he keeps having to address. And I think it's the fans who now are sort of understanding they've come out of that mourning period, which we all have. We love, we respect Bielsa. There he is, and there he is on my wall. We adore him. We will always adore him, and we will appreciate what he's done. But this is the way forward now. And I think fans who aren't willing to understand that and adapt and move on with that, in a strange sort of way right now, it's almost like some of these fans are looking for a problem with Jesse Marsch to be proven right about their calls on Marcelo Bielsa to have been kept in his position. But that's not. It's not productive. It's not helpful. It's not positive moving forward. It's not getting on the team in terms of a good wavelength, in terms of bringing the team to a new level with your support. So I've seen a lot of that this week, and a lot of it over the past couple of weeks, in terms of still saying, posts on Jesse Marsch. Oh, well, he's not this, he's not that. Well, it is what it is. We've got to move on. We've got to support the guy. And it's just really interesting how he keeps referring back to Bielsa, which I think is brilliant. It's humble. And I think, I've just got down here more humility, which he is giving the Leeds fans, and he's understanding. But he goes on to talk about how beneficial it's been, submerse himself with the city, getting involved, going for dinner out in Leeds, talking to fans. And I've spoke to fans who've met him, and a lot of fans who've met him say that he's an absolutely wonderful human being who is just trying to help for the cause. He'll always go that extra mile. I know there's one occasion where I've been really surprised with what he's done. I'm not going to release it on here, but he's a very positive guy, a really, really positive guy, which is massively beneficial.
I understand that. I've had a lot of really positive interactions with people and really kind. I mean, I can honestly really kind and generous and thoughtful. I
don't know about you guys as well. He seems a little bit edgier today, which I quite like. It's not as laughy and jokey. And I've said that and he just started laughing.
Everything I can to make sure that we as a group and as a team can represent that kindness and that mentality within our community here. Yeah, Patrick will play for sure tomorrow.
Massive.
But he will be ready from the bench, and we're excited to have him back in the team, and I think he can give us a real boost.
Yep.
Well, what was interesting is, so then, when we were contemplating his return to play and what we wanted his weeks to look like here since I've been here, then the physical team told me what his loading has been like over the last 6, 7, 8 months, and with the different kinds of injuries he's had, he hasn't trained hard often and certainly hasn't played much. So even getting him back, it's the reason why I was hesitant against Leicester. I just felt like we had more to lose than gain in that moment. And
listen, you guys might think I'm blowing here, and I understand if you are. You think I'm blowing smoke and all this sort of stuff, but I'm so on board with what he did at Leicester. I'm so on board with his decision not to bring him on as well. I don't understand this whole rhetoric of why you wouldn't just bring him with the side to sit on the bench, to get within that group again, to be in the changing room, to be a leader. Everyone was just saying, we'll keep him at home, let him rest up. He's clearly rested up. He's clearly ready, but you need to bring him with the team as well. He's not had any under 23s minutes. He's going to be thrown in the first team. He needs to be embedded within that changing room again. And that's exactly what it was at the weekend against Leicester. He'll have been told before the game, I'm probably not going to use you, Patrick. I don't want to win. I don't want to further, potentially damage what you are at the minute in terms of recovery. So I think the mentality thing was huge for Leeds and for Patrick Bamford, just him being on the bench. That's my personal perspective. But if he was still a little bit too far away in terms of performance, and now they're fully okay with him going back in fitness-wise, it's a good decision. It really is a good decision.
And knowing how important Patrick is, even for me from a personality perspective, he's a positive guy. He comes with energy. He works really hard. Like the effect he'll have in the group, I think, will be relatively massive. And I think we would need to make sure that we handle his return in a way that only gets him stronger and stronger and better and better.
So yeah, that's it, guys. That's the Marsch conference that I wanted to touch on. They're the little bits that I'd snippeted out. I've touched on the huddle. I think Jack Harrison, there was something that he mentioned about Jack Harrison, which I can't repeat because I can't swear, but it's something that I've been saying on here for a while as well. And once again, I love the fact that he's calling it out. He's essentially said, Jack can be a nice guy. He is a nice guy. I'm paraphrasing here. But I want him to play like a B-I-T-C-H, a son of a B-I-T-C-H as well. Now, I like that. And he said that he wants him to be more decisive in the final third. He wants him to be more aggressive. What did I come on here and call out last week? I said sometimes in the tackle, he can be quite nice. You guys know that when I've called Jack Harrison hot and cold Harrison, that isn't an insult to Jack Harrison. I want Jack to be hot Harrison. That is what I want, week in, week out. We can all see there's ability there, but he frustrates me more than any other Leeds player because there's ability there. So we need to see more consistency from Jack Harrison as well. He's not had a good season. Good performances against Crewe and West Ham stand out, and Leicester now. That needs to improve. He needs to add goals and assists to his game. And his just general performances need to be more. We need to see more Leicester performances week in, week out. And I think when he's talking about aggression, it is things like in the tackle. It is things like demanding things from his teammates across the pitch, shouting, being a bit more vocal, because he's 25 now. He is one of the leaders in this side, whether you like it or not. He's not a baby anymore. And, you know, when he's talking about being more decisive in the final third, that is what we need with Jack Harrison. It is that killer instinct. And if he gets those aspects to his game with that underlying ability, Jesus, this kid is going to be a player. Consistency, aggression, and that decisiveness in the final third. He's going to be, I mean, he's going to be a top player. And I think that's what Marsch is going to use him as a bit of a project, because they are the things which I still don't think. I think under Bielsa, the tactical aspects of Jack Harrison have improved vastly, but I still think those underlying characteristics of Jack Harrison haven't really developed for me, probably in 3 or 4 years. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. We're getting ever closer to the Villa game. I will be there tomorrow night from around about 5:30ish. So make sure you come and say hi if you are there or thereabouts. It'd be great to see everybody there. Can't wait for the game, to be quite honest with you. This is what we're back for, isn't it? And I am looking forward to it. I'm just praying we can, I mean, sort of solidify Coutinho. And one thing I will say nullify, I should say, Coutinho with a solid plan. And I will talk on just the plan just right now in terms of what he was discussing in his press conference as well. He said that they do have a plan for Philip Coutinho. So it's going to be interesting to see what that is. Guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Have a great evening. And